I was getting picked up from school,
Mhm.
and Mom couldn't pick me up, and so my mom's really good friend picked me up.
And you just said, what did you say to her? Do you remember?
Said, what's the secret word?
A little girl looked into her own parents' camera and said she was scared to go to school because strangers online had found it. Her parents kept filming, and they kept posting. Let me just say it plainly, right at the top, because I am not going to pretend to be on the fence about this one. Two adults built one of the biggest family empires on the internet by putting their kids on camera every single day. They were warned for years that they were handing the whole internet a map to where those children go to school. One of their own kids said, out loud, on their own camera, that she was scared, and they did not stop. Because stopping costs money, and their children's safety was, apparently, a price they were happy to pay. The headline says these parents leaked their kids' school. By the end of this video, I think you will agree that leaked is a far too generous word for what these people actually did. Now, one thing I have to nail down before we go a step further, and this part is non-negotiable for me. Not one single word of this is aimed at the children. They are not the villains in this story. They are the victims of it. They did not choose to be filmed. They cannot legally consent to any of it. They do not get a vote, they do not control a cent of the money, and they do not get a delete button. So every ounce of the anger in this video is pointed at exactly two people, the mom and the dad running the operation. They are the only people I am holding responsible here. So let's talk about them. Because make no mistake, this is not a family with a cute little home video hobby. This is a corporation wearing a family as a costume. Millions upon millions of subscribers across a whole network of channels, long polished videos pumped out several times a week, all of it built on the daily lives of a big blended family of kids from grown adults down to toddlers. People who track this stuff estimate the main channel alone pulls mid-six figures a month in ad money, with the side channels adding hundreds of thousands more on top, before you even count the merch and the brand deals. It funds a lavish life. And hold on to that, because every single safety failure I'm about to walk you through happened in service of protecting that paycheck. So what did they actually do? And here is where I stay careful. Not to protect them, but to protect their kids. I will not name a school. I will not name a town. I will not describe a uniform, a logo, or a single breadcrumb that could help anybody find these children, because the entire point of this video is the exact opposite of that. So I am only going to describe the shape of what they did. And trust me, the shape is damning enough. Over and over, for years, these parents filmed and published footage that quietly gave away where their kids go to school. Not through one big dramatic mistake, through 1,000 tiny ones. Kids filmed in clearly identifiable school clothing, personal items that pointed straight at one specific local school. And in one case that genuinely made my jaw drop, one of the parents used their own personal access to film inside a school building for a content bit. Any one clip on its own looks harmless. But millions of people do not watch one clip in isolation. They watch all of them, collecting the breadcrumbs and connecting the dots until a total stranger can pin down exactly where a child physically is. That is not a hypothetical. That is what happened here, again and again and again. And if any part of you is tempted to think, okay, but nothing bad actually happened, I need you to sit down for this next part. Because it did. There is a strong, sourced consensus among the people who follow this family closely that the exposure turned into real, physical safety scares. In one case, a daughter was abruptly pulled out of her school and switched to homeschooling. The parents told their audience a tidy little story about it. Stress, mean girls, a fresh start. But that same girl, on their own camera, gave the real reason. She said she was scared because people knew where her school was. And in another case, viewers described a grown adult reportedly showing up in person at one of the kids' campuses. A stranger, an adult, at a child's school. Let that sit for a second. And here's the detail that tells you everything about these two. After all of that, after the fear, after the scare, the recognizable school clothing and the identifiable backdrops kept right on showing up in the videos. Nothing changed, because nothing was ever going to be allowed to change. So let's go back to that word, leaked. Everybody is using it, and it is the wrong word, but not in the direction the parents are hoping. Because a leak sounds like an accident, or a villain in the shadows, a hacker, some creep who broke in and stole this information. And that hands these parents the exact excuse they are desperate for. Oops, we didn't mean to. A logo slipped through. No, I am not giving them that. Because it was not a hacker, and it was not an accident. It was a decision, a choice they made, over and over, with full knowledge of the risk. Because doing the safe thing is bad for business. Blurring a logo makes the shot look worse. Actually keeping a school secret would kill an entire genre of profitable back-to-school content. So every single time they hit that upload button, they were making a trade with their eyes wide open. A little more of their kids' safety in exchange for a little more watchability. That is not a leak, you guys. A leak is something that happens to you. This is something they did, on purpose, for money. And this is exactly why the backlash has been so loud and so relentless. And no, this is not a jealous internet mob. It is child safety advocates, adoptees, former fans, and other parents who are genuinely horrified. Their case against these two comes down to three things, each one worse than the last. First, look at who is actually watching. This channel's audience is overwhelmingly young, tweens and teenagers. And to an obsessed 12-year-old fan, figuring out where their favorite YouTube family goes to school is not a crime in their head. It is a game, a scavenger hunt. So when these parents cannot be bothered to blur a logo, they are not just risking the one predator in a million. They are handing millions of impulsive kids an open invitation to go hunt down another child in real life. Second, it was never just about the location. Critics say the whole channel runs on strip mining these kids' most private moments for content, intimate conversations about growing up, and, most disgustingly of all, the private medical and biological histories of the adopted children. Histories that belonged to those kids, and to absolutely nobody else. Adoptee advocates have been especially furious about that one, and they are completely right to be. A child's medical story is theirs. Full stop. It is not a plot point for an audience of millions. And third, their actual future. People keep pointing out that real education seems to lose every time it goes up against the filming schedule. Kids pulled out for content trips, the basics slipping, and the fear underneath that is bleak and simple. These children are not being raised to grow up and walk away. They are being raised to be content, for life. So how do these two react when somebody points any of this out? Honestly, this is the part that erases any last shred of doubt for me, because mostly, they say nothing. No apology, no safety warning to their young fans, no real change. Instead, they run a playbook. When a kid has to be pulled from school over a safety scare, they simply rewrite the story. She wanted to try homeschooling. She was dealing with some mean girls. A sweet little cover story that conveniently buries the actual reason. Then there is the shield, and it is genuinely cynical. When a worried adult leaves a comment warning about an exposed school, the replies get swarmed. Not by the parents, but by the channel's own army of young fans. You're just jealous. It's their channel. They can post what they want. You're just broke. And the parents let it happen. Every time. Because a mob of kids attacking anyone who raises a safety concern is the most convenient security system money cannot buy. It turns a serious warning about a child's life into haters being jealous for free. And then the part that truly seals it, the hypocrisy. On more than one occasion, the mom has said, out loud, on her own camera, that she wants to keep the kids' schools private, for their safety. So she knows. She has said the words herself. And then, weeks later, up goes another routine video with the kids in full, identifiable school clothing. She understands the danger perfectly. The business just keeps winning the argument every single time. And look, I do not want you walking away thinking these two are just some uniquely careless couple. They are not. They are one especially profitable example of an entire industry that has been allowed to run wild for years with basically no rules. Here is the bottom line it keeps dodging. A child, whether they are 4 or 14, cannot consent to being broadcast to millions of strangers, permanently, forever. They cannot picture a stranger using the background of a breakfast video to find them. The adults carry that entire weight. And across this whole industry, they keep dropping it for ad revenue. Think about this. Traditional child actors have had legal protections for decades, capped work hours, real schooling on set, trust funds so their own parents cannot just spend their money. But because family vlogging happens inside a home and got filed away as ordinary user content, it slipped straight through all of those laws. The house just quietly became an unregulated film set. No limits, no inspector, and nobody there whose actual job is to protect the kids in it. And we already know exactly how dark this can get. This whole conversation hit a horrifying peak with the arrest and conviction of the mother behind another once giant family channel. a case that proved the polished, happy family image can hide genuine abuse. And her own daughter, after surviving all of it, stood up in front of lawmakers and told them what this actually does to a child. She said, and I am quoting her directly, "I come today as a victim of family vlogging." She said she would rather have grown up with an empty bank account than have her entire childhood plastered online for strangers. That is a person who genuinely lived it, telling you exactly what it costs. Now, one bit of genuinely good news. The law is finally starting to catch up. One state became the first to require that a real cut of the money made off a child's image gets locked into a trust they can access as an adult, and another quickly followed. And a different state is pushing the next frontier, giving people who grew up as child influencers the right, at 18, to demand every last piece of that content be permanently deleted. That matters enormously here, because right now, these kids cannot take back a single second of any of it. So here is my verdict, and I am not going to soften it for anybody. These parents did not leak anything. Honestly, a leak would almost be more forgivable. What they did was build a multi-million-dollar business on top of their own children's daily lives, get told for years, by fans, by critics, and by one of their own scared kids, that they were giving away where those children could be found, and then choose, again and again and again, to keep the cameras rolling anyway. Because safety is inconvenient and exposure is profitable. You do not get to make millions broadcasting your kids to the entire planet and then act shocked when the planet does the exact thing the internet always does. This was never a leak. It was a business decision, and it has to stop. And here is the thing. You are not powerless in this. If you ever catch yourself in the comments of one of these channels trying to guess where the family lives or where the kids go to school, stop. That harmless little game is the actual danger. If you see someone raising a real safety concern getting swarmed by the fan mob, you do not have to pile on. And if your state is one of the ones weighing real protections for these kids right now, pay attention, because it matters. These children cannot vote. They cannot consent. They cannot delete a single frame of any of it. They are quietly counting on the rest of us to be the adults that were not standing behind that camera. I would love to hear where you land on all of this down below. I read them. Take care of each other, and I will see you in the next one.